Welcome to Season 4 of the Kayak Bass Connection podcast. I'm your host, Jared, and tonight we are once again talking about the 2026 season. Specifically, we're going to release the schedule for the Southern Illinois Kayak Club Tournament Trail. So I'm very happy to have back with us tonight our new tournament director for 2026, Jonathan Kessler. Thanks for coming back, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, it's good to have you on here, and I can't wait for myself to find out where I'm going to be doing some fishing at next year. So this is going to be great. So, let's just talk about the 2025 season. So those people that finished near the top in 2025 might have qualified for the Classic, which is generally our first event of the new year. Is that going to be the same in 2026?
Yes, we are going to have our top 20, as well as we're inviting anybody that completed 4 tournaments last year. And I think I added that up. It should be all-inclusive. That'd be around 32 or 33 members, which is by far, I think, our largest number of qualifiers for the SIKC Classic.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I like how you do that. I mean, it's great to have the top 20 there. Those top fishermen are usually probably going to be finishing the top again in the Classic, but also those folks that are dedicated to the club, making those 4 tournaments a year, come and enjoy some early fishing.
Yeah. Very excited to have them.
So we got a location for that, or is that still under wraps?
We do, yes.
All right. What is it?
The 2026 SIKC Classic, again, which is based on the AOI from the 2025 season, is going to be held at Banner Marsh on March 28th and 29th. And you should start seeing that pop up right after this podcast goes live on our social media.
All right. Awesome. Hey, I like that. Banner Marsh is probably the closest water to my house that we have. Yep. So that's awesome.
Yep. Being that this is our first 2-day event, we put a lot of effort and energy into trying to make sure we found a place where that maybe felt a little bit like a travel tournament for everybody. It's a little bit further away than the rest of the tournaments in our tournament series.
Yes, kind of farthest north that we generally fish.
Yeah, I think it's the furthest we've ever gone north whenever we've done a Banner Marsh tournament. It was a lake that was not on our 2025 schedule, so it's a place that many of us haven't fished in a little while. It also, we know that it produces big fish, and I don't think very many people in the club have fished there this early in the year, so it ought to be exciting to see what everybody has drums up for the tournament.
But yeah, it's an interesting fishery. It's a strip mining operation that was floated, I think, way back in the 70s or something. I mean, it's been around quite a while. It's definitely not your average impoundment that we fish. Yeah, always puts up big numbers too. So that's cool.
It does.
And this is a big deal. 2-day tournament. Okay, so how is that going to work out for points? Is it accumulative over both days?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is it's going to be more, I would consider this one of the more traditional formats. It is going to be a 5 fish on day 1, 5 fish on day 2, and then the winner is chosen by the cumulative best 10 fish, 5 from day 1, 5 from day 2, so that there is an emphasis on consistency across day 1 and day 2. Yep. That's
great. Now, is that going to be maybe the first 2-day tournament that SIKC has had?
First 2-day tournament by in the SIKC Club. Yeah.
All right. And we're thinking how that works out, that might be something we see in the future for these special events like this, right?
Yeah, and we're going to be reaching out to all the people that qualify pretty soon. And one of the reasons we want to do that, also one of the considerations that we took into account for the location for the Classic was, since it's a 2-day tournament, we want to make sure that it's affordable for everybody to do a 2-day tournament. So we looked at housing options and places to stay overnight for those that are traveling a little bit further. We know that just about 10 or 15 minutes up the road from the main launches at Banner, there is an affordable hotel in Canton, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know there's a lot of Airbnb options up in that area. And so we will be reaching out to everybody, kind of encouraging people to maybe get a sign-up list going about if people want to come together on an Airbnb or something like that for Saturday night. That way it does make staying that overnight a little bit more affordable for everybody that needs to.
Yeah, that's really smart, because most people you're going to talk about, that's going to be a two-night stay somewhere. But yeah, there's a lot of different availability there. And in March, it's not a big tourist year or time of the year, so hopefully we'll have some off-season pricing. Yeah. Like the way you're thinking. Banner's definitely going to be a neat place to start the season out. So where are we headed after that in April?
All right, so April, we're going to go back to an old classic that we did not have on the tournament schedule last year. I promised a mix of lakes that that are familiar with a mix of lakes that are new or different. And so we're going to go to Kincaid Lake in
Kincaid, April.
Yep.
What
On
dates are we
April
looking?
18th.
Okay.
April 18th.
All right.
Yep. We chose April 18th. I think that avoids a date with the Illinois Bass Kayak group as well. So I think they have one of their early tournaments the week afterwards.
Okay.
So we're making sure to avoid that, even though they're on Sundays. I think their tournament was a pretty good distance away from Kincaid. So we chose that April 18th date as a safe date there.
That's definitely something else you have to think about this year, right? You got another club that we want all of our clubs to prosper, but we got to do some cooperation there in scheduling. So that's great.
It is. There's a lot. We know that it's a full schedule for everybody. Of course, we always hope that SIKC putting together and being organized in a sense that it keeps bringing people back whenever their schedule does get full. But at the same time, I think the more the merrier. And I think we're growing the state of Illinois into one of the best kayak fishing states. And has some just from the grassroots level all the way up to high competition, all the way across the state from north to south. It's really going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to directing SIKC as well as participating in Bass. And we have a really good relationship with the director of Bass, who's been a member in SIKC for several years now.
Yeah, that's great. It's just good for everybody. The rising tide lifts all boats, right? So that's good. All right, so that's April, Kincaid Lake. I like the fact that we're going there in April because it won't be quite the party scene. Okay.
And we took that into account as well for our lake placement, which brings us to May.
All right.
We wanted to work a new lake in a lake that I think has only made a SIKC tournament schedule once, and that was back in 2018, I believe.
Wow.
We wanted to work this one back into the schedule. It's a good bass lake. It's a little larger, has recreational boats. So again, we wanted to get there before the summer season really hit. So on May 16th, we're going to be having a tournament at Crab Orchard Lake.
Crab Orchard. Orchard. Huh.
For those SIKC members that haven't,
I almost know nothing about that.
It is a much larger lake than most of the other lakes. It's located, I think, near Carbondale, Marion. I want to say it's just east of Marion.
Yeah, it's between the. Oh, is it east of Marion? Okay,
so
that would not be between the two.
Marion and Carbondale.
Okay,
it might be right between the two.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, it's just east of Carbondale then.
Okay,
and has a long history. It's a good bass lake. I think a few years ago they drew it down a little bit to do some work on the spillway. But from what I've heard from some of the members, the levels are back up. They've done some stocking and some habitats, and it is fishing really well right now. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's great. So there's a lot to talk about there with a much bigger body of water. The big limitation for most kayak anglers is distance. So that brings a whole new strategy into things. It's interesting.
Yep.
And I think isn't that a federal? It is a
federally managed lake. It's in the same group. So technically, I guess the way to say this is that Little Grassy, which doesn't really exist anymore at the moment.
Yes.
And Devil's Kitchen are both part of the Crab Orchard watershed.
Okay.
Yeah, so both of the main rivers that feed into those lakes eventually feed into Crab Orchard.
Outstanding. Man, it's going to give us a lot of research material for this winter.
And I will say, to help people prepare, off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what the launches are, but I do know we have multiple launches available for us at Crab Orchard. So it is a large lake, and we did our research, and we picked 2 or maybe 3 different launches that we'll be able to use. I will warn people because those lakes, for those that have done Grassy or Devil's Kitchen that we've done in the past, you may recall, for all those lakes that are part of the Federal Reserve, it does require a additional day use pass, or you can consider it a parking pass. And so make sure that you get on there if you're going to be doing some pre-fishing. I think usually if you're going to be doing at least 3 or 4 trips there in the year, it's beneficial to go ahead and get the annual pass. It's not too pricey, but there is a little bit of a fee associated with that. And we expect all of our members to, follow the rules
Sure.
when they're fishing.
Yeah, just a quick search. There's almost 7,000 acre lake in Williamson County. It's actually fed by Devil's Kitchen Lake and Little Grassy. And Little Grassy got drained last year, right?
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure, but my understanding was that there was an issue with the spillway at Little Grassy, and there wasn't a solid plan for what they were going to do to fix it. And so they just drained it and let it go down. I do think there is a long-term belief that they will restore Little Grassy, but I don't know what the timeline is on that.
Okay. Looks like there's at least 2 campgrounds available there. That'll be a time of year that might not be too bad at camping. That could be an option for staying there. So, yeah, exciting.
And there's, of course, a lot of availability around crab with Carbondale and Marion so close. There's a lot of, options for people that don't want to be out in the weather the night before.
Yeah. All right. Is there a different permitting process for that because it's a Corps of Engineer lake, or do you have to go through the DNR, Illinois DNR?
So DNR still does the reservations for permits, but there is an additional permit that we had to pull through the Federal Reserve. So I'm really fortunate. We have Dustin Siegel, who's been helping us with the scheduling, and so he's been taking care of a lot of that for the club. And so shout out and thank you to Dustin, and helping get all this stuff arranged.
Hey, great. All right, so that's May. What do you got for us after that?
All right, we're moving into our hot months.
Yes.
Now, last year we were up at Coffeen in April. Let's see how it fishes in June. So we're going to go down to Coffeen in mid-June on June 13th. On June 13th, we're heading to Coffeen Lake.
That has become a favorite of mine. The place has been really producing the last few years we were there.
It's like every year that we've been doing Coffeen, it has just gotten better and better and better. And some people say that it's because it was a power plant lake, the power plant shut down, and it kind of fell off in the transition to ambient. But it's almost like it's now used to being ambient and it's starting to recover. And I think we're seeing that recovery. So it's coming back to a peak for sure. Yeah,
and we always have good attendance at those events, and there's always really good weights.
I will say Coffeen was one of the lakes that we considered heavily for the Classic. There was a lot of interest, and what it came down to for the board's decision was really just the one downside to Coffeen is it's kind of away from anything that's happening in terms of a 2-day tournament, in terms of staying somewhere, finding somewhere to get housed and set up. And we like to always have our Mexican food the night before tournament. So Coffeen is kind of the one lake that's sort of off the grid a little bit in terms of those types of amenities. So that's factored in a little bit to our decision.
Yeah, it's a good 40 minutes to 35 minutes at least to hotels and everything else from Coffeen.
But in terms of its fishing, it's one of those lakes that we just couldn't leave off the schedule. So bringing it back.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that are not familiar with Coffeen, you need to check that out. It's 1,100 acres in Montgomery County. It does have a restriction for boating for 25 horsepower limit, so that's helpful for a kayak tournament.
Yeah, notice we paid a little bit of attention. We did, like I said earlier, those big motor unrestricted lakes. We put them early in the schedule so that hopefully we can get out there and sort of beat the at least the recreational boaters.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season. Something else I forgot to mention, because we've grown so much, people that remember Kincaid from the past, we've traditionally used the Paul Ice Ramp a few times. One time we went all the way back up into the Johnson Creek launch. We're going to be using the main marina launch this time, and that's just because of the number of parking spots that are available. We've grown to the point where we need more parking space. So we're going to be at that main marina, so it's not too far from Paul Ice Ramp on the water. So I know a lot of people like to fish up in that Paul Ice Ramp because there's like a whole no-wake zone back there. It's real easy and accessible if you do want to get up there. If there are pleasure boaters and stuff, and sorry for kind of running out of order here and going back to Kincaid.
No, that's all right. That's a good point to bring up.
But the marina is really close to some of those coves that are no wake. But we will be launching there sort of from the main lake area at the marina.
Okay. All right, that's good. Yeah, I remember one year launching from the muddy water upstream. It was shallow and horribly muddy. So that'll be nice. At least you have an option because that does have a lot of deep water areas if you want to fish deep, and it's got a lot of shallows.
Yeah, that Johnson Creek launch, I wouldn't put anybody through that again.
Yeah, no. I think that might have been my very first tournament with SIK, and I did not have fond memories of that launch.
It was one of my first years, that's for sure. I remember, I think it was my first year or second year we went there, and we're not too far from Kincaid, so I did a lot of pre-fishing up there. So I kind of knew there's some big flats that you just can't get across in a kayak, and by the time we got to tournament day, I knew how to avoid those. But it was muddy, it was rough and hard to find fish, and I think the winner had 4 fish. I don't think the winner had a limit at that tournament. Yeah.
That makes for a long day. Jumping back to the June tournament in Coffeen, I was just glancing at their fisheries report. This ought to get you a little excited about that. Okay, so the largemouth bass, the IDNR says they rank that as excellent. And the first sentence in the report is Coffeen Lake has a solid largemouth bass fishery in place. So bingo. That's where we want to be.
One of the things that the scheduling director, Dustin Siegel, does for the league during the season, he analyzes all of the fish caught that are uploaded on Tourney X. It's a big task. He loves doing it. He's does research for a living, and he takes all those fish and all that data, and he kind of gets an idea of how each lake fishes from year to year. He even kind of keeps track of the time of the year to see if that's important. But Coffeen, it doesn't just feel like it's been fishing better year after year. It really actually is fishing better every year.
Incredible. So that puts us really into the hot July. We're going to fish in July, or we're going to skip it?
No, the heat doesn't bother me. I know it bothers people. We've been really lucky. I don't think we've been out there too much when it's too hot. We're going to be fishing right in the middle of it, July 18th. We're going to Sankrist Lake. And Sankrist is, again, one of those mainstays. We see it on there almost every season. It fishes great every time we go there. It's consistent. What we haven't done is we have not seen it much in July. No. And we like to mix it up. If we see a lake, in the spring one year, it might fish really different in the summer. And so we try to mix it up, especially with the lakes that we fish a lot. The only exception to that, of course, is when we go to Newton, because Newton does have restrictions that prevent us from scheduling any tournaments there during the summer months. So
Sankrist is an interesting thing. This is going to be interesting in July. I think you're right there. This could be a real challenge because what I've been there in July, and it is a very warm water temperatures. If you don't have a lot of rain or anything else to cool it down, exceedingly warm. So it'd be a challenge.
Yep. The one thing I noticed in the October Illinois Bass Championship this last year was that I just don't think you can underestimate how much flow is produced around the cooling loop at Sankrist. And it does make a huge difference in terms of the water temps and finding locations and finding fish. It also makes a big difference in water clarity because of how much current actually is flowing through there. So it creates a unique challenge. We're pretty familiar with these power plant cooling lakes, but Sankrist, I think in particular, because of its size and the size of the plant in comparison to the size of the cooling loop, while it is a large lake, a whole chunk of that lake is completely outside of the cooling loop. It produces some unique challenges and some opportunities for anglers to kind of look for in their game plan, and I think.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these these coal-powered cooling lakes shutting down. And quick search looks like it says it's been offline since 2017. That's one of the reasons I was so shocked at why it was so warm in July. So it's just something to start thinking about now. We're going to be dealing with that.
They definitely still do something there, and they still run it, because I was in the outflow pre-fishing in October. Okay. It was pushing a lot of water. Yeah, okay. It was 85, and it was flowing very quickly through the cooling loop and out the outflow.
Yeah, Sankrist is one of them. I remember we did an interview with the IDNR biologist last fall, and that was one that they really said was a hot bass lake that was hot and is really great fishing. There's a lot of tournaments there, but people are still catching big bags.
It's great. Where Coffeen has been coming on, our numbers suggest Sankrist is probably by far the most consistent big bass lake that we fish. Yeah, by far. I know people love Newton, but Sankrist is it's year in and year out. No matter what time of the year we're there, people catch some big fish.
Very good. Good choice. So that brings us to August.
August is going to be our Asterix Lake. We have the fan favorite Cedar Lake, yes. The one that everybody talks a big game about and doesn't doesn't like to show up. It showed up last year pretty well.
Yeah,
It
sometimes.
always seems to fish tough when we go there. That's going to be on August 15th. And notice we're kind of driving down the middle here. That's just avoiding holidays and other things that are going on. It seems to work pretty well to drive down the middle of the month. But August 15th, we're going to be at Cedar Lake. Again, the asterisk is because Cedar Lake is managed by the city of Carbondale, and they don't allow permitting before the first of the year. We have not had we've not had problems usually getting our permits for there, and we will be prepared to put in for those, but we always do put that asterisk there. We do have a backup lake. I won't mention it because if we get our permits as indicated, we won't need it.
We'll
But
go there. Yeah, okay.
the date will be August 15th, asterisk next to Cedar Lake.
Okay, fantastic.
And I think everybody's familiar with Cedar. It's the Carbondale Water Reservoir. It's not a power plant lake. It's more ambient. And it's
lake.
Beautiful, very deep up north, a little bit dirtier down south. And it, the last couple years, and I think we'll be doing the same thing. Again, they have kind of small parking lots. And so we're going to attempt to do a double launch. So you can launch from either the north or the south. We'll work out the details on Tourney X. You'll see them. It's, pick your poison, north or south. That's what everybody always talks about with Cedar Lake, right?
Yeah, and Cedar is one of those lakes that, 100 inches is absolutely possible in a couple different lakes, but Cedar seems to be the one that at least once a year you'll have a group with 100 inches plus there. So that's fantastic.
Yep. And we're no strangers to Cedar. We've done Cedar, I think, as the classic the last couple of years, or on and off the last 4 years, sort of alternating between Cedar and something else. I think it produced a 100-inch classic, which I think was the single day record, still held by Darren Hemker. I think that was 3 years ago. And he got that chatterbait out, found the right spot at Cedar, and ended up with an entire board full of 20s.
Yeah, and I think we might have did an interview on that. It's probably back in the archives of the podcast. Anybody wants to take a look at it. So that pretty much wraps up the season, right?
Maybe. We have one more. There's one lake missing, right? And I mentioned it earlier. We can't schedule Newton during the summer months, so we have one more to finish up the schedule, and that's on September 19th at Newton Lake.
September 19th, okay.
Yep. It's where we finished up last year at Newton. We're going to finish up again this year at Newton. We're going to use that west launch. It's just a great lake to finish on, I think. It's the reason why we're going back there. Again, the option with Newton is essentially you do it early or you do it late. It fished really well in the fall for a lot of people. And it's an interesting power plant lake. And you got to pick your poison. Do you want to fish the hot arm, which might still be summer pattern? Do you want to fish the cold arm, which might be approaching fall pattern? And figure out where they are. Yeah,
the Newton Lake is known nationwide for big, nice bass population. One of my favorite lakes because, number one, it's within an hour and a half of home. You just go there and the lake is just so full of life. I mean, there's forage everywhere. Yep. When you catch a bass there, it's healthy generally.
It holds a special place in my heart because that was my first ever fishing tournament.
Nice. Oh, outstanding.
And it was brutal. I won't go into details.
So we're gonna just to clarify. So we're gonna start off with our classic, and that's gonna be an invitation only event. But then we have 6 regular season events after that.
Yep. And again, it's going to go Banner Marsh for that classic. That's March 28th and 29th. We're going to move on down, start the regular season in April at Kincaid Lake on April 18th. We're going to go to Crab Orchard Lake on May 16th, Coffeen Lake on June 13th, Suncrest Lake on July 18th, Cedar August 15th, and Newton on September 19th.
All right, what a great year planned out. So if someone is watching this and they're thinking about joining the club, let's kind of back up a little bit. So you just can't show up to these events. You got to register. And not only that, you have to be a club member before you register. So can you talk a little bit about that what that process is? If I'm a brand new person who wants to try these
Easy
events.
peasy. Go to SIKC fishing.org. There's a tab at the top of the website. Says membership. Click that membership tab and it will show you the options for membership. And again, if you are staying tuned to the podcast, you may have seen this on the previous episode, but we got 3 different levels of membership. If you're a previous member, a renewing member, we have memberships at $80 for the year. And that covers, all the prizes that we give away, which also come in from sponsors. That covers our insurance fees, which is honestly a huge huge chunk of it,
Yes.
and an ever growing chunk of it. It covers oh all of the giveaways, t-shirts. Everybody gets a t-shirt every year from SICK as out of that money, and whatever other new items that we may include in that would be contributed as well. But it also gives us the ability to host these and organize these. It allows us to pay our fees and permits to the state and run everything, and we appreciate everybody. But that's
Hmm.
$80 for renewing members. There's an option of $100 for those new members that are looking to sign up. Again, if you sign up next year, it'll be $80. I'm going to promise that we're going to not raise any fees for this year and next year. I'll make that promise right now. And if you're under the age of 25, we also have a young anglers discount, and so you can register as a member for $75.
Okay. Yeah. Love to see those younger members, first time tournament anglers just coming out. So regardless of your age, that's awesome. So those memberships will not go on sale till after the first year. Is that right?
They are going to go on sale on January 1. And again, they go on sale on the website. Included in that membership, there is membership access on the website. So there'll be some additional features as we get sponsors officially on board. You'll be able to look up sponsorship codes and sponsorship information in that membership site. So I want to give a shout out to James Fott down at Midwest Kayak Club. He's one of our 2026 sponsors right now.
Awesome.
So I want to shout him out, and he's going to be upping his deal. So for those members thinking about going down there, he's already signed up to give 15% off for SICK members. So
That's
in
a
order to
big
get
deal.
access to that code, you got to sign up on January 1. And I think he's also going to throw in a little bit of money into Big Bass. And I don't want to get people too excited, but I've talked to a couple other potential sponsors, and we're talking and negotiating on trying to get some gifts and payouts for our AOY winner in 2025 or 2026.
Cool.
Excuse me.
So talking about the Angler of the Year event, so the Angler of the Year, how is that determined? If I'm a new angler coming in, just give me a summary of how that works.
Yeah, so every tournament you fish, you finish top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first place finisher in that tournament gets 60 points. This is new this year. We used to do 50-point schedule, but because we've had so many members, we've kind of increased that to kind of allow for that growth. And but first place gets 60 points, second place gets 59, third place gets 58, and so forth all the way down. If you show up to the tournament, you're guaranteed, even if you get blanked, you're guaranteed to get at least 10 points from that. And so at the end of the season, we add that up and we take the top 4 finishes. So you only need to attend 4 of the regular 6 season events to kind of have enough events, I would say, to qualify or compete for AOY. But the top scoring person on their best 4 lakes is our AOY champion.
And I presume you'll probably be tracking those on the new website.
And we are going to track those on the new website right now. You can actually go look up all of our, not all of ours, but we have 2018, 2019, 2024, and 2025. And you can look up all of the past winners, AOI winners. You can look up the AOI finishes for anglers in those. I'm working on finishing the rest, but the whole history of SICK will actually be available on the website in the next couple weeks.
Nice. That'd be neat. Boy, that's a lot of good information tonight. I'm still trying to think about the first time anglers. One thing that I think we need to mention, those memberships are limited, correct?
Yeah, it is really important to note that we encourage you to sign up early. We are offering a payment plan, so you kind of will reserve your spot as long as you at least initiate one of those payment plans. And so there's a couple options on there when you go to sign up. If you want to pay your 75, 80, or 100 over a couple months, those options are available through the website. But you want to get that initiated as quickly as possible. We really do anticipate, we have a limit of around 5 anglers that we can take. One of the reasons for us having to set that limit is the lakes that we fish and the lakes that are available in Southern Illinois only fit so many anglers, and we have been right at that number. Last year we've been in the low 40s and mid 40s in several tournaments.
Yeah.
And we're capped at 50 anglers for most of our lakes. So we cap total memberships at around 65 just so that our members can sign up for the tournaments. And we encourage you to get on there and get your membership purchased as early as possible after January 1st. I'm trying to think, and make sure that it's paid before April. Get our t-shirts ordered and all that stuff. We want that to all be available by that first tournament. And so if you wait long to sign up, that stuff may not be available at a later date, or it might take a little extra time to get it to you, I should say.
Great. And if you're seeing this this podcast and you're thinking about signing up for the first time, get on that website. It's going to be really built out, especially as we go along in the next few months. Take a look at the episode we just did on the new changes in rules and things of that nature. Make sure you got the right equipment. It's all pretty common sense type stuff, but just to make sure you do your research before showing up for the first tournament. If you are a newbie out there, don't hesitate to just come fish. Probably the worst thing I've heard people say is that I'm just not ready yet. Trust me, you probably are probably going to do better than some of the other people that are there, including myself. So don't say you're just not ready. The quickest way to get better is fish with better fishermen.
Yeah. And as I always say, one of the biggest advantages to being a member in SIK is what you learn from everybody around you. And it's not one of those clubs where we are going to try to run each other off of our spots and those sorts of things. I have learned so much from the people that I fish with, and we learn from each other and we share information. We don't hide it. I mean, there might be some things, you might get something in your back pocket, but we care about the sport. We love being out there. We love the camaraderie. Come join us.
All right. Fantastic. Jonathan, thank you, first of all, for all the work you do to make sure this schedule gets put together. And I know there's a lot of people, including the board, behind the scenes doing work. So appreciate all the work that they've done as well. And it really gives us something to look forward to over the next few months when it's cold and it's freezing rain and snowing out. We can take a look at this podcast and know we're going to be fishing in March and April. So thank you very much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you. And thank you for doing the podcast.
It's always my pleasure.